Hello, everyone. My name is Izaz Bacha, and welcome to my evaluation strategy technique, for which I've chosen peer and colleague assessment. And this involves a colleague coming into your classroom, observing you, and then having a debrief with you after. It sounds very simple, but can involve a lot of intricacies. So, some of the best practices that were espoused in a 2021 article in the Harvard Business Review by Alessandro Di Fiore and Marcio Souza. Um, though this article is kind of meant for businesses, it does apply for teaching. So, a best practice would include all other members of your team being involved in the observation role. So a department should have a cohesive teaching philosophy, and it's valuable for students to have some level of consistency as they navigate through the program. And this is actually something that I think is really prevalent in the PIDP program at VCC. The teaching philosophy is consistent, which I appreciate, since it lets me become comfortable with the course quickly. And I think that's really important in a 10-week course, because I don't have all semester to find out the individual preferences of the instructor and adjust. Another best practice was given in a 2022 practical review article by Yang et al., talking about implementing peer assessments. And they discussed that an appropriate assessment tool should be used. There's also already some great specific assessment tools out there, but they need to be adapted depending exactly on what your specific needs are. And so, some pros and cons of this evaluation strategy is that a general pro is it can lead to more cohesive, engaged team that's working towards becoming better instructors, as they now have to be accountable to the results of the peer assessment, which was mentioned by Willie and Gardner in their 2007 article. However, having everyone involved, this strategy, this peer assessment, is a very time-consuming process, and that can be difficult to kind of arrange with the timetables. And what was noticed by Chan in a 2010 article from the University of Hong Kong is talking about the type of observer, and they could have both pros and cons. For example, if there was a junior observer, one pro is that there's no influence on any future employment. You're just kind of the same level of colleagues, and it would also result in kind of more honest feedback. A con is that maybe they aren't experienced enough to give you some as much valuable feedback as someone who is more experienced. On the flip side, if you had a senior colleague, a pro is that they're seasoned, they've got a lot of experience to draw back upon, and they can be full of very helpful observations. A con is depending on the exact status of the colleague, how much influence they have, it could affect your potential promotions or employment. There's lots of tricky politics that could potentially come up. And finally, a third type of observer they talked about was an outside party. So, pro is that you would get some really good feedback, kind of the feedback you might get from a student, since the outside party is not really a subject matter expert. They can comment on kind of general things, such as presentation skills, maybe leading student discussions or general engagement. However, a con is that they can help you with judging the subject matter that you're teaching, if it's at an appropriate level or could potentially use more detail. Summary or conclusion is that this is a very effective technique, but you need to be aware of the limitations beforehand, which can prevent you from getting trapped by the pitfalls. And here are my references. Thank you for listening to my talk.